Gost Radio Slobodna Evropa je pomoćnik državnog sekretara Sjedinjenih Američkih Država za evropska i evroazijska pitanja i specijalni izaslanik predsjednika Sjedinjenih Američkih Država za Zapadni Balkan, Gabriel Escobar. Mr. Escobar, you will be visiting Bosnia on Sunday. Is it a part of a pressure you spoke about, which US and European Union are putting on Bosnia aimed at speeding up reforms in your integrations?
I wouldn't describe it as pressure. I would say that it's more partnership. So Dayton has held the peace for 25 years, and it's our intent to go and express our support for sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity. And beyond that, I want to do a series of meetings to talk about the potential for economic development in the region and how America can help create the kind of opportunities that the Balkans are really poised to take advantage of.
What kind of help you refer to?
Well, there's an awful lot of help. First of all, my message has been to the European Union that the Balkans are an area of opportunity, and I would like to see the enlargement process speeded up. But I would also like to encourage American and European companies to see the Balkans for what they really are, an emerging market, a fast-growing market with enormous talent, great universities, and in a tremendous geographic position. So that's the kind of help initially, is to raise awareness about the possibilities. But second, to explore what other ways we can look at to help spur growth, trade missions, USAID support, potentially DFC support. But all of that is on the table, and I'm looking to meet with modern leaders and leaders who have that kind of mentality about integration into the European system and integration within the Western Balkans. So I'll be doing meetings not just with politicians, but with emerging politicians and business leaders.
Are you going to meet Mr. Milorad Dodik?
Well, that will be determined later in consultation with our ambassador in Sarajevo.
You met with the president of Republika Srpska, Ms. Željka Cvijanović. We learned that she pleaded for a more balanced approach, but we were not made aware of your message to her.
Yes. So the message that I gave to her is the same message that I've been giving to all the leaders in the region. Dayton has held the peace for 25 years. It's the basis of our policy. Any moves to undermine Dayton, including what Milorad Dodik is doing now, are very detrimental and very destabilizing to the region.
How to stave off the threats of the country dissolution, the transfer of competencies, and weakening the states advocated by Milorad Dodik? People are afraid of new war, and so far no sanctions have been imposed on those using threats.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to have my discussions with the ambassador before we announce any new sanctions. That is on the table. But I do want to say to the people of Bosnia, there will not be another war. We, the international community, and we are united with our partners in Europe, is that we want to make sure that our commitments to the peace and security of the people of the region are met. But with regard to the weakening of the central institutions, I'll be very honest. The reason behind this is really about corruption. What Milorad Dodik is doing is he's trying to look for ways to protect his power and his money. So I'm asking people not to match that, not to enable him to do that.
Do you consider yourself as one who can exert a decisive influence aimed at not only harnessing rising anti-Bosnian rhetorics, but also to hold agenda advocated by Dodik?
Well, look, to be honest, the agenda that's advocated by Dodik isn't supported by anybody else in the region, including Serbia, where we have an emerging partnership. And I'm not trying to divide Serbs. In fact, if you look at what we're doing in Serbia right now, where we are expressing support for the Open Balkans Initiative, which we think is a very positive development in the region, where we have signed nearly $1 billion assistance package between the Minister of Finance and DFC, where we have signed a new university partnership between Belgrade University, which is one of the best universities between Budapest and Athens and between the Adriatic and the Black Sea, where we are having U.S. Navy SEALs and Green Berets doing exercises with Serbian special forces. This is what we can do for Serbs in Republika Srpska as well. But the alternative message that Dodik is pushing is he'd rather see Republika Srpska become a Transnistria or a South Ossetia just to protect his wealth.
According to the British Guardian, Schmidt's UN report warned of the real danger of war. The authenticity of the report has not been denied. What's your take on the message that really resonated in and outside of the Balkans?
Well, look, I really want the people of Bosnia to know that we're committed that there will not be a war. And believe me, all of the countries of the region, including the other signatories of Dayton, which includes Croatia and Serbia, are committed to not seeing a war in the region. And if you look at what's happening in the rest of the region, only in Bosnia do you have this kind of rising tension. Everybody else is focused on European integration and economic development. After my visit to Bosnia, I'm traveling to Montenegro to talk about all of the opportunities that Montenegro has to offer. I'm meeting with a government that is focused on creating real avenues for development, including the Minister of Finance has talked about creating Montenegro as a center for e-commerce. The Deputy Prime Minister has talked about creating Montenegro as a shipping, energy, and tourist hub for Southern Europe. All of those are possible. That's what we need to be talking about. Instead, Milorad Dodik is talking about the same issues he was talking about 25 years ago.
You pointed out you believe that with limited constitutional reform accompanied by reforms of the electoral and judicial system, Bosnia can become a much more functional state. How to achieve this if an agreement is badly lacking on all crucial questions?
Well, look, there are historical examples of countries where you have a shared federal government and strong entities. Belgium is one example. So within Europe, Bosnia can take that kind of shape. And we do want a very strong federation and a very strong Republika Srpska. Nobody is questioning the right of Republika Srpska to exist. It is in Dayton. Now, what we're talking about is people taking escalatory moves to damage both Dayton and the central government. And again, I have to emphasize, he's doing it for his own personal agenda.
Is interference of Serbia, Croatia, and Turkey into Bosnia's internal affair beneficial, or it has a detrimental effect?
I would say that within the context of protecting Bosnia's sovereignty and protecting Bosnia's territorial integrity, Croatia and Serbia have a voice. They are signatories to Dayton. So we welcome our discussions with both capitals. As far as Turkey, within the context of the Balkans, they have been part of S4. They have bought some economic development. So as a NATO member, we welcome our engagement with Turkey as well in the Balkans.
What are the flashpoints in the Western Balkans, or if we can say that, hotspots right now?
I would say that overwhelmingly, we don't have them. So if you look at our relationship with Albania and North Macedonia, they, in my opinion, are ready to begin the discussions on EU candidacy. And we're hoping that they do that the EU recognizes it and begins those discussions this calendar year. Our partnership with both of those countries, both within NATO and bilaterally, has been outstanding. They've been good allies, good partners, great friends, and that's what I'm selling to the European Union. That's what they can expect from these countries. And behind them, Montenegro, which has made enormous progress on their path to Europe. They are a solid NATO partner. We're working very closely with the European Union on the EU-led dialogue between Serbia and Kosovo. And I'm happy to report that we don't have any areas of disagreement with the European Union on this question. Additionally, as I mentioned, we have this emerging partnership with Serbia that's been very beneficial to both countries. We just recently celebrated 140 years of diplomatic relations with Serbia, and that trajectory that we've had for a century and a half, we hope to continue. And in Bosnia, we do have very good prospects for European integration if people recognize that Bosnia must remain a sovereign, independent, territorially whole country with full respect for Dayton.
So your priorities did not shift when it comes to the Western Balkans from what you have said when you came to this position.
That's right. They have not shifted. And so what I'm looking at is I'm looking 20 years down the road when the people who are being born in the Balkans now need to find opportunities to live normal, economically viable lives in the country that they're born in, if that's what they choose. Because right now, it's a very difficult choice for people to remain in the Balkans because of the economic situation. So in my personal opinion, and I have witnessed this personally, the people of the Balkans do very well everywhere. The people of the Balkans, and I'm talking about Albanian, Bosniak, Croatian, Serbian, whatever, have built my country. They're building Europe. We need them to build the Balkans. And we want to partner with that generation to find opportunities. That's where I'm starting.
Do you think that the European Union needs to be more included in the situation in Bosnia and Herzegovina? It looks like that they have somehow stepped away from the problems we have here.
Not true. The High Representative is a European. The peacekeeping force, EUFOR, which recently got an extended mandate, that is European. That is wholly European. So a lot of the structures that are inside, the international structures that are inside of Bosnia are European. And everything that we do is in concert with our European colleagues. In fact, from Dayton until the resolution of the license plate crisis between Serbia and Kosovo last month was done in cooperation with the European Union. So we plan to continue that.
You're working closely with Mr. Palmer, who works on the electoral law in Bosnia and Herzegovina as well. Do you think that there will be some sort of an agreement, since the Croats in Bosnia and Herzegovina have totally different ideas of what kind of electoral process and what kind of Bosnia and Herzegovina should look like?
I don't think that they have totally different views. I think they both understand that they need a strong federation, that they need a functional federation. Now, the details are up to negotiation. And Matt Palmer is going out to the region again later this month, to continue those discussions. So those discussions have a window of great opportunity that we are encouraging all of our partners to look at as a win-win for everyone.
Mr. Escobar, thank you for this conversation.
Thank you very much.